we say the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I am Ray Prock, your resident director of the Tampa Bay Board of Directors and also a member of the Long-Term Planning Commission. At this time, I would like to introduce the other members of the Planning Commission, starting with Dave Hartung, our Finance Chairman, Gene Barling, a longtime resident, and been involved in golf and cards and games and dances and dinners, so she knows what goes on in the club. Also, James Norrington was the chairman of our Food and Beverage Committee. And I'd also like to introduce Mike Bryant. He's our representative from he's the vice president of Pauly Bryant Architectures. And last but not least, how could I forget? I can't forget him. Last but not least, David Ivan, our declarant, member of the board, member of the Planning Commission, and many, many, many years in club life. You know, long-term planning requires that we put in place a plan to address the assets that are owned by the association. The TBCA board, the Finance Committee, and the Long-Term Planning Committee have engaged in a process to bring us to a point that we're at today. The process began as early as 2010, 2012. It became apparent that the current building space, clubhouse, community center, were adequate, but not designed well enough to accommodate an increasing population at Tampa Bay Golf and Country Club. Your board of directors first determined, before going any further, we needed a reserve study to determine our financial needs in the future for our existing amenities. A 90-page plus study has been completed and will be addressed later in this presentation. We then tried using in-house personnel to determine our needs and costs. It soon became apparent we did not have the capability to accomplish the needed result. A long-term planning committee consisting of a diverse mixture of residents with varied interests and experience was formed. The committee decided to interview some architectural firms, and we did so by interviewing Curtis Gaines Hall Jones Architects, Pauly Bryant Architects, Interior Planning. We also visited 2 locations that these firms had remodeled or had some work done in them. The one location was Arlington Ridge in Leesburg, Florida. The other one was Terra Golf and Country Club in Bradenton, Florida. The visit to Terra Golf and Country Club really opened our eyes as to what could be done by reconfiguring, remodeling an older existing facility. I wish all of our residents could visit Terra and see what we saw. After comparing both firms, we engaged Pauly Bryant to provide us with architectural services for a master plan for our amenities. There are many phases to the plan. After several meetings, surveys, etc., we are at this preliminary point. I will now turn over to David Ivan, our Finance Committee, and the Bryant Pauly personnel to fill in the blanks for you.
This process, we've gotten a lot of feedback over the last several years that we've been operating the club related to the issues and things that we need to address here. We tried to consolidate those down into the top priorities, and that's what you can see up on the slide here. How did we come up with this list? Again, there were several surveys that were done. Information that we had was the Food and Beverage Committee recently did a survey. Got a lot of feedback about, again, mostly food and beverage related, but a lot of things related to the clubhouse. Troon has done or Pure Golf has done a survey the last 2 years regarding the activities at the club, so we've got a lot of feedback from that. And again, of course, we get every day, Paul and his crew get feedback on the needs for the club. This keeps, okay, all right. So, again, to go through the top 10 concerns. Number one is the age of the club. Our club is, getting a few years old now. I think it was built around 1999, so we're getting to 14, 15 years. And frankly, it needs some updating. The biggest thing probably is that our community is growing. There's a lot of events here that we do pack the clubhouse, pack the dining room, so we think we probably need more space in certain areas. We have currently about 1,280 completed homes here. When we're complete, we'll have approximately 1,500, a little more than 1,500 homes, so call that 2,000 to 3,000 people. And hopefully we get more and more people involved in the activities of the clubhouse, so it will get even more crowded as we go. One of our biggest challenges is our kitchen. And I don't know how many of you have ever stuck your head inside our kitchen. And this was probably the most eye-opening thing that we realized when we went down to Tara. Our kitchen is about 680 square feet. Comparable clubs, the one in Tara has about 4,000 square feet. So I don't necessarily think we need a 4,000 square foot kitchen, but ours is wholly inadequate. Both the architecture firms, it was almost comical when they came up and we did the walkthrough of the clubhouse. The first architect, Kurt Skansholm, walked into the kitchen. They kind of looked around and said, "Is this it?" I mean, it's amazing, and I'm constantly amazed at the job that our chef and the food and beverage folks do in producing what they do. But it would be really nice to give them the tools to do even better. The next thing is a separate dining room and bar. I mean, ours is kind of combined. We can have different groups at the bar and other people trying to dine, and it can get rather noisy in there, so it would be nice to have separate areas for a bar and a dining room. Another big challenge with our clubhouse is the traffic pattern. As you know, sometimes there's events here in the ballroom, people come through the front entry trying to get to the dining room, so you have people going through events. So it's very challenging to get from one end of the clubhouse to the other without impacting other events. Our fitness facility is really kind of inadequate in size. We could use a substantially larger fitness facility. Also, one of the other items down here related to fitness is have a dedicated space for both yoga and fitness classes. We move our yoga classes around in different areas. It'd be nice to have a designated space for yoga. Maximize the use of space. That's very general, but we have like one pool table down here. We have one pool table at the community center. Our card rooms aren't organized as efficiently as they could be. We have better space. We can use our space much better than what we currently do. We can improve our food and beverage service to Lanai in the pool area. If you're at the pool, you want to get something from the bar, from the dining room. You need to walk inside. So we wanted to improve that. And we have really inadequate office space for our administrative staff. I'm sure you've probably stuck your head in the office that we've got here. It's really difficult to work in, and we are adding some personnel, so it makes it even more cumbersome. So we definitely need some more administrative space. So again, as Ray said, we gave all these issues to the Foley Bryant folks, and they've come back with their kind of first concept here. And again, what I want to reinforce is we're very, very early in this process. The whole idea of this meeting is to get feedback from you all. It's not just questions and answers, but it's feedback. We'd like you to look at these plans, give us your comments on them. This is a kind of a long process that we'll go through to get feedback from everybody and make sure the plans are as good as they can be. We do have an existing facility that we're working with, so if we were starting from square one, you'd probably do something different, but working with what we have and trying to use our financial assets efficiently, I think they've come up with a very, very good plan to start with. So I'm now going to turn it over to Mike Ryan, and he's going to kind of walk through some of the plans. And I know it's going to be difficult to see up here on the slides, but he'll kind of walk you through. And again, you have the boards up here. You can come take a look at them after. We'll stay around for comments and questions after the fact as well.
For those of you who don't know what a master plan is, let me just touch on it a little bit, because I think Ray and David have done a good job. But a master plan is really a plan that projects into the future what your needs are, so you can budget them and build them as funds become available. So what we're going to show you today, we're really going to address 3 buildings. We're going to address the clubhouse, the welcome center, and then the community center. And we realize that there's not an endless pot of money. So what we will do during this process is to prioritize those projects and which ones should be built first, which ones then can be built later, as funds become available. But as both David and Ray have said, we are trying to project, for the growth that this community is going to realize. Right up, there you go. Okay, thank you. So if it looks like maybe rooms are a little bit too big, well, again, we're trying to project into the future, and also we hope by these improvements to the club, you're going to attract even more activity from your existing members. Unfortunately, we don't have an aerial view of the site plan, and what I wanted to. And I know it's going to be a little bit difficult looking at these drawings, especially for the folks way in the back. But let me just orient you first to the clubhouse. This is the existing clubhouse here in the bottom, and we're right here. Some of the issues that we saw and David and Ray have mentioned include circulation. Not only people who wish to go to the pool and who come back from the pool going through the lobby. But also, if you have a special event where you have a couple hundred people and you need to get to the bar and grill, it just becomes very, very difficult. David mentioned the kitchen, and you're right, 700 square feet is just woefully inadequate to serve this type of club. In this particular plan, we're planning for a ballroom that seats about 220. We're planning for a restaurant that may seat up to 80 to 100. We're planning to double the size of your bar. We're planning to have a bar and grill that may seat up to about 60 people. And then we want to make it convenient for people in the pool to get food service from the kitchen, and perhaps have an area to sit down outside in the shade for lunch or whatever. So the demands on the kitchen will be even greater in this plan than they are currently. And we think right now that kitchen probably needs to be about 3,000 square feet. We've contracted with a kitchen designer. They've estimated approximately right now, and our next step is to kind of get into the details of that design. And again, just to back up again, to reinforce what David and Ray said. This is our first step. We've been working on it for about 2 months. To the board's credit, they have a lot of documents and surveys and assessments that we can use as tools. Surveys from you as well. But this is the first phase. This is the first look at what we're going, the direction that we're going. And we've shown them a couple options already. And they filtered those options to this plan, which they think solves a lot of the issues that you have. So today's the time when we get input, when we get buy-in, so we can take it to the next step and develop that plan in more detail, get a cost estimate, know what it's going to cost, and then start to plan down the road how to build it. So they talked about some of the issues with the kitchen, just inadequate. The office space here in the corner, again, inadequate. The gym, there's you're going to see an idea where perhaps in the future we relocate the gym, the fitness center.